MID.X, MidCap, S&P, MidCap 400 Index, MMTs. This is a weekly chart up here. These are the names that are involved. This is how the list is. It's 400 stocks in their mid-cap range in our economy, of course. And you can see that everything is red as I'm scrolling through this very, 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 very long list. And that means that the net changes at the end of the day, I see one. Wow, 5 cents to the positive. Look at all of the negative prints. See how long the list is as we go through it? Now, MMTs, let's do something. Let's go over here. Let's take a look at the MidCap 400 Index weekly chart. Let's take a look at how it has fared up with the broader market over the course of the dog days of August and all the corrections that we talked about, and how this one here as well. And these were trend lines that we had drawn from our last updates. But let's get down here and take a look at this weekly level. That's that weekly bottom. Here you go. Here's that horizontal bottom. But here, let's take a look at this neckline right here. Okay, we shot right up here on this weekly wick. This was the last dog days of August. And then part of this wick, the majority of that weekly distribution wick, is we had sold into the low volume on September 1 and 2, and that's where the majority of that price wick came from, was in those 2 days. And that we're just starting the September, and that we're gapping down big in the futures overnight. And that means that the S&P MidCap is about to break its 100-day moving average. And when we draw a trend line over here, MMT, when we go to the high of that wick right here, you can see that that was the major weekly resistance. But once it got above there and broke higher, we went up and made that first 2011 high, pulled back that month, and that same month, that 4-week reversal here, that was the first reversal of the calendar year for all of the broader indexes as we know them. Then we went up and we made the higher highs. But let's take a look at the lower end of the trend line right there, MMT, and let's take a look at where this breakout was above that 798.60 handle right here on that weekly level. Then look at that ascending narrow range weekly breakout price. Ascending meaning going up in value, then consolidating the move, then breaking higher. But look at all your minute period or your weekly moving averages were all going in the right way. And that's a public model. They're public stuff. You already know what that is. But you can see where this market now is going to be at risk, because electronic stop market orders on the opening bell below the 100-week moving average here, a sell down to the lows, we would see that we would either break through these key price supports, or what kind of gap down that we're going to have on Tuesday morning, as today's date is 9/5 of 2011. The distribution across the board on calendar 1 and calendar 2 of September, going into calendar 3rd trading day of September, is that we are going to monitor the weighted price action and what that relative strength within the weighted price action, or relative weakness within the weighted price action between the buyer, between the seller, and what side of the market is going to have the bigger risk. Is it going to be that the bull is selling down out of panic, and once that's out of the way, then that bottom bear trade up, that means short sellers would have to buy to cover at the lower price levels, which would then invert into 369 breakouts. You would have to consolidate across the top, then break higher to know that if there is a left elbow gap down in the indexes and futures, you know, this is the 400 index, but we're going to watch this level, MMTs. And that means that the leadership stocks in here, they all sold off. Okay? They were all down percent-wise. All right? And they were. And this is how long the list is. There's 400 of them in here. And that's called distribution MMTs. Once again, I'm going to conclude the names that are in here. I'm going to conclude the leadership ones off of the video with my MMTs so people know, okay, well, which one of these 400 is a leader like Google in the Nasdaq 100 and Apple or Amazon or whatever else. There are names in here that are leadership names. We will go into that discussion offline. So basically, here is the weekly chart. We have that weekly sell signal. We are short term going to run what we call an exasperation low in a lot of the indexes. The 200 week is going to be its major support level, but breaks this low. That's where we're going to see how it responds. It never did quite hit it here on that, that's when we were really putting the 2011 low in right here during this week right here, as you all know because you were here going through it live. And when we did hit that bottom, we had that big wick up, but now we had a big weekly sell wick within this whole 4-week structure in the S&P MidCap 400 weekly index. Therefore, in the shorter time macro, we will hit points where various lower support levels will have more of a weighted price action because in the very shorter term, yes, you can stay oversold for a period of days and weeks because it truly can happen, MMTs. But however, if it's short-lived like we're talking about, then we'll see the same kind of movement off the bottom here. And then when it's time to sell here, you can see it within the 4-week range. You can see that you came right up here to that resistance line right there. They sold right into it. There's the reversal called the downside elevator bar. So from the top floor down to the basement here. And then we have come up and tested that area. And you can clearly see the weekly reversal. This is a weekly buy signal. It starts on a daily level. Which day it comes out of the short holiday week that starts tomorrow morning, we will determine that. But we do know between plan A, plan B, and we do have a plan C, is how the public is going to respond to the buy and sell tape, and then how the high frequency volume machines, are they kicking in at a much higher rate. The leadership here is very important. We do have the S&P 500 coming up next.